Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Roop Rai. How are you guys doing tonight? You are watching Ghar Ki Murgi Dal Barabar, which is brought to you by TC San. We're live Monday to Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook and YouTube at TC San 2. And you can also follow us on Instagram for behind the scenes updates at TC San 2 as well. All right, for today's topic, if you live anywhere in Western Canada, stepping out of the house means bundling up in layers and layers of clothes right now. Here in Calgary, we've been experiencing wind chill values in minus 40s. According to Environment Canada, the record-breaking cold has been brought on by the remnants of a polar vortex moving across Western Canada, causing some regions to feel as cold as minus 60 with the wind chill. Polar vortex, the weather term that entered the public conversation about 6 years ago in 2014, is always loosely blamed for the cold weather. But how true is that? What is this polar vortex? To talk about that and more, we bring onto the screen Ghar Ki Murgi, Pavan, Elapavuluri. There he is. Hello.
Vanakkam.
Oh, vanakkam. Adabers. Now, what did you say last time?
Adabars is Sasrikal, so this time it's Vanakkam.
All right. Vanakkam to you.
Vel vatti vel.
Naru and that.
This is Tamil greeting. Vel vatti vel and Vanakkam.
Hello Naru, so I'm Telugu today.
Yeah, bagunnanu.
Okay, da. Kidda. So that we come down to Kidda after. That's the real, dilo nikal diya jehdi gal. Like, hello Naru, how are you? I was like, yeah. Say it in that Tamil. Say it in Tamil too. What did you say?
Vel vatti vel.
What is vel vatti vel?
It's like praise the god or something.
Oh, okay, then we can't say anything about that. Yeah. All right. So in Punjabi, when you say how are you, you say kidda.
Kidda.
But right now, the way the weather is going, so kidda.
Pada.
It's not pada. It's pada.
Pada.
It's pada. It's thand. And I see that you have a toque on, so I have a toque here as well. Maybe I should put my toque on as well.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
so Hale says, praise Pavan.
Hail Pavan.
We can't even edit it out. You God. It's live. Don't do that.
Vel vatti vel.
So we were supposed to talk about polar vortex. And my husband always has his foot in his mouth. Like, I'm always scared. I'm always telling him, remember, it is live and I cannot edit anything out later. So you take back your statement, whatever you said.
I take back.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I have a toque as well. I'm going to put my toque on.
You have a fire. You don't need a toque.
I do need a toque. It's so cold down here. So I'm in the basement, you guys. I sit in the basement and Pavan's usually upstairs. Actually, I'm not going to wear it because it feels really awkward. All right. So I'm in the basement and Pavan is usually upstairs. And in the basement, I have a fireplace. And that the reason it's always on is because it's super, super cold. And but normally I have like my cup of hot beverage with me, a couple of them. And I never see them steaming. I never see the steam coming out of these cups, but today I actually see the steam. You obviously can.
So it's small something to know about when you can see the steam. It's usually 6 degrees or lower, so that the temperature is less than 10 degrees downstairs.
I know, and I'm sitting here in just a sweater and a shirt, of course. Anusha says, "Wow, you both look great." Yeah, we're ready for Valentine's.
Well, vatti vel.
Oh my goodness. All right. धन्यवाद. शुक्रिया. मैं भी पंजाबी बोलूंगी आज.
मैं उर्दू बोलूंगा. मैं उर्दू में गुफ्तगू करूंगा.
आप जो बोलना है वो जिसमें गुफ्तगू करनी है करें. मैं आज पंजाबी में आज मैं पंजाबी विच गल करूंगी. I will represent my roots today. All right. So let's talk about the thand. Let's talk about the pada.
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 Right. Yes, that. The thand. Why is it so cold? Why am I freezing? And I'm even cold. Okay, here I've got to say, okay, I think today we're going to go way past 30 minutes because I have to complain about something too. So my husband, he keeps the house so cold.
73. 73
cold.
Fahrenheit.
It's cold.
That's not cold.
How many degrees Celsius is that?
73 is around 20.
Yeah, that's cold.
What?
Okay. Yeah. I need like 25. Guys, whoever's watching right now, please tell us, what is your ideal temperature in the house? I need to know. I need to know from men and I need to know from women. I need to know from everybody, what is your ideal temperature in the house? I think my ideal temperature is 23 to 24. Ali's ideal temperature is 23. He just sent a text. And Pavan keeps me freezing at 20 degrees. And it goes down to 18 degrees at night. And I am really, really passionate about this. I need to defend my right to have a higher temperature in the house.
Yeah.
Oh, 20. Rashmi keeps it at 20 degrees. Well, there you go. You found a friend.
Yeah, I do. That's the normal people do this. It's like not cold-blooded people.
We're people from the tropics, man. We're people from the tropics. We don't.
Yeah, snakes need hot temperature, hot weather.
Manju is also 20. Come on, you guys.
Team 20 all the way. Well, what do you
All right, you've got Rashmi and Manju in your team. I've got Ali and Sohail. So it's 3-3 so far. So we're still asking the same question. What is the temperature that you keep in your house? We need to know because Pavan is team 20 and below. I am team 23 and above. And of course, in our house, Pavan wins because he tells me, you can wear a sweater. It's easier to wear a sweater than not wearing clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That doesn't...
Yeah. Okay.
That didn't come out right. So he says it's easier for me to wear a sweater than him having to remove his t-shirt because he's too hot in anything over 25. Anything over 20. All right. Okay. So polar vortex. It is freezing. It's really cold. We haven't stepped out in days, which we haven't done because of COVID anyway. Now we've got another reason not to step out, and that is because it is freezing. And you've been out a couple of times, and you came.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe. Like my lungs got really cold.
Yes.
So it's very cold, and the reason is it's polar vortex, and everyone keeps talking about what this polar vortex is. It's just the cold air which usually sits on top of Arctic, on the top of poles during the polar winter, which is not. This is our winter. We should classify it as the north winter, and the polar vortex is a cool air which sits over Arctic, and that cold air leaks into the subarctic to even to temperate zones, and that's leaking is called polar vortex. And it's a misnomer. Polar vortex is always present. The traveling of polar vortex towards the equator, towards the temperate zones, is what causes this cold temperature. So that's what it happens. It is the cold air is always here, so it's like as cold as it would be if we were in Arctic. That's what it is.
So we're caught in between the cold air and the warm air.
Yeah. So so we are always. That's always a play between cold air and warm air. That always happens. Okay. One question to you: Why do you think we have seasons why do we have seasons?
You're the expert. I'm supposed to be asking you the question.
We have the seasons because our Earth is tilted. If there were no tilt on the Earth, we would not have been seasons. Like we would be
23.4 degrees.
Yeah, so we are tilted, and that's why we have seasons. Or if it was not tilted, everyone at whatever latitude you are, the equator would be always hot, above equator will be always cold, and there would be no seasons. We would be always in the same temperature because the sun would be shining at the same angle. But
Right.
because of this tilt, we have these seasons, and that gives earth a very unique atmosphere, to have different seasons, for the trees to grow at a different rates. So the trees have so much sunlight during these seasons makes earth a very interesting place for life. And this is the same tilt which causes all these problems too, like in winter, uh, that happens. So there is a image which is shared, which has a temperature index, not the jet stream one, but another stream one. So I will explain it to you if you can share. Yeah, so this one. So here, the red colors are the hottest, and the black is the coldest. So if you think about it, the black should be up above where Alberta and Northwest Territories meet, that latitude. It should be there. But due to various reasons which we will talk about, it leaks down into the continental USA, and that brings in the air which should be constrained on top of Alberta down into Alberta and even down south. So that's what is called a polar vortex. Polar vortex should be on polar regions, but it is coming down, bringing really, really cold air into the continental America. That's making us really, really cold.
And
And
why does
and
it do? And why does it do that?
yeah, so the polar vortex. Why does the polar vortex stay over polars? And the reason is it's jet stream. So the jet stream is the one which oh yeah, you are on top of things. So
I
this jet
know.
stream this jet stream is the one which binds it onto the polar region. So in winter, the jet stream is nothing but a boundary between polar winds and boundary between equatorial winds. So the winds which go up into the atmosphere at the equatorial, they don't go to the polar regions, and polar region winds don't come. We can talk about it, but I think it's mostly scientific, but there is a boundary, and this boundary is called a jet stream. And in this jet stream, it's called a jet stream because the winds are huge, are really, really fast here, and they're blowing at 200 kilometers to 300 kilometers per hour. And that's why an interesting fact is, when you are going to India, you are 2 to 3 hours lesser time than when you are coming back from India, from east to west. So usually, the aircrafts try to when you're going in the opposite direction, if they get jet stream behind their, it's called a tailwind. So you have 200 kilometers wind pushing your jetliner, so you get 200 kilometers extra for free if you get onto the jet stream. So this jet stream is this winds which is a boundary between polar winds and the equatorial winds.
Every
And
wait. Every time you say jet stream, I hear jet stream.
Chattanda Puttu.
Tarti hildi. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, so this jet stream,
Jet stream?
and jet stream. No, I can't unhear it. Jet stream.
What? I do hear that. I hear jet stream, man.
Jet stream.
I bet everyone else hears jet stream too. All right.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I'll try to be serious.
yeah, so the jet stream moves from west to east, and it encircles. There are various jet streams. So this is the polar jet stream, and so it doesn't stay at the same place. In summer, it comes down to around 50th parallel, which is 49th parallel is the United States and Canadian border. So in summer, it can go as down as Canadian border. So that's why we don't get really, really hot US continental weather to Canada, is because that really prevents that hot air coming into Canada. So Canada stays temperate around 30-31 degrees, but in continental US it can go up to 35 to 40 degrees. It can go really get hot. But in winter, really migrates up and it goes, as I said, it should stay like even north to Northwest Territories, our Alberta border. But so sometimes this jet stream should not what happens is, due to various reason, the jet stream dips below where it should be. So right now it's below where it's summer's extent. So that's why it's not preventing the cold polar air to stay where it should be, but it's letting it leak into where it should not be. That's what's happening. And why is it happening? That's also because of Earth's rotation. That is very, very common. It happens quite often. The reason why the jet stream goes south sometimes during in winter, which it usually doesn't. So that's what happens.
And why does it, and polar vortex is not a new phenomena. This has been happening forever. It was named, or the name was coined in 1800 sometime.
Yeah, the vortex is something, a low pressure area. It's like a cyclone, whatever it is. It's like going around. So this polar vortex is just cold air, just revolves on top of the pole. It's like a very cold air, which is usually minus 50 to minus 60 degrees centigrade air, just stays on because in the polar there is no sunlight, so there is no heat at all there. It's just no sun. It's where the coldest state of matter is. That's the original state of matter. Okay, imagine if sun disappears one day, Earth will become so cold.
Yeah.
So it's just because of no energy coming. That's why the air gets cold and cold there. That's where it is very. That's why it's called a polar vortex right now.
Mm-hmm. So why does it? You explain that jet stream moves lower, but why does it move lower? Just the tilt of the Earth, the way the Earth spins, or how do you?
There is another picture which I sent you. It's called La Nina, winter La Nina.
Yeah.
La Nino and La Nina. So this is a very interesting weather phenomena, and it affects the whole world. So what happens in Pacific is the Pacific heats up or Pacific cools down. So when the Pacific heats up, like the La Nina pattern, which is the top pattern, which says blocking high pressure, that's when it really heats up. The jet stream really comes down on the American continental America. But when the in La Nino pattern, the jet stream stays really on the top where it should stay. So we are in the La Nina pattern, the top pattern. So we have a high pressure over Pacific. That's the pattern. Why is that the top of that's the usual pattern in a La Nina pattern? That's the jet stream. So the high pressure is pushing the jet stream on over Alaska and Siberia, and is pushing it down on continental America. That's what's happening. It's the La Nina pattern. So and Pacific heats up and cools over 3 or 4 year cycles, because that's how it happens. So cloud patterns and sun pattern rotation. So you have a La Nina cycle, and in other 3 or 4 years you have La Nina cycle. So these cycles are
El Nino.
Yeah, El Nino and La Nina. So this is a small girl and a small boy. So those cycles happen, and those cycles are the ones which tell you whether you have a cold winter or a warm winter. Or also, our cold winters are wet winters for on the other side of Rockies in the Pacific coast.
Right.
So
okay, go ahead. You were saying something.
No, that's the main driving pattern is and the jet stream, the integrity of jet stream too is also a question. So the stronger the jet stream is, the weaker the effect of this La Nina is. And the weaker the jet stream is, and the jet stream gets stronger and weaker due to various reasons. No one really understands why the jet streams. And the biggest the here is the segue to climate change. So the biggest claim of climate change is the climate change is making the jet streams weaker and weaker. So there is no more, the jet streams are not offering that protection which they used to offer. And jet streams are the biggest climate differentiators. Like they are the boundaries which make the climates what it is. So humans evolved, plants evolved with these climatic conditions in consideration. So now we are altering the patterns of this jet stream, which may bring into lot of changes very quickly.
Well, you answered all my questions.
Shall go home. We are home.
I was going to ask you about climate change. You answered that already.
Yeah,
So
but the climate change. So the question, like, it's not there is no real we had colder winters, onset. So there is no real you can't really say is the climate change is the cause for this, because we the coldest winter is 1823 or something, where it was -44. So there was no climate change then. It's like we really don't know. But the biggest claim for why we are getting polar vortex coming this far down is like the polar vortex is very strong.
is
And
it is it coming further down though over the years?
mm, people are saying it's coming more, like there is but the problem is there is not enough data which have been recorded over time. What would Because this is such a short duration of polar vortex happening a week over maybe 2 or 3 years. You need like a very very fine recording of temperature at various places to record. So there
Did
is
we
not
did
enough.
we have it last year as well? In 2020 when it was really, really cold?
Yeah, so it's for us, having polar vortex is not new. That the reason why we get. And Calgary is in a very special space, a place geographically for us to get colder temperature. That's the reason why. That is the way the Rockies are. The Rockies act as a funnel, both from east and from north, from west and from north. So north, there is no barrier for Calgary. Like any weather system comes down from north. Rockies act as a funnel, and then they funnel all the cold weather down to Calgary. So our Calgary getting cold is not, it may not be due to polar vortex. It's just wind from the north coming, and Rockies are like a direction. Go here,
Go
go
to
down.
Calgary.
Yeah, go to Calgary. That's like, yeah, keep on going this way. Follow my direction. That's how it is, and that's what it is. But polar vortex is more of a regional phenomena. Calgary getting cold, only Calgary getting cold is not so interesting. But the polar vortex coming is, it will make the whole continental US, whole continental North America very very cold, because it's a huge mass of air. But there are these small weather systems which come from north to Calgary, and that's very common.
So not everything is polar vortex. So we
Mhm.
can't blame every -23 on polar vortex.
No, not to Calgary, but if the whole continental US is getting really really cold, which is it is right now, it's because of polar vortex. It's not a small weather system, it's a huge weather system. And if this keeps happening at a much higher frequency, there will be a lot of problems in infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah,
Explain.
infrastructure. Yeah. So you don't build your bridges, roads for -20. So it's like, if you are in somewhere in say Oklahoma, or in the plains of America, in Nebraska or whatever, you don't build your roads or in bridges which to withstand -20s or -30s. You there is always certain specifications. Go to -10 or something. So but then when it goes to -20 for increasing days, your infrastructure starts crumbling, especially the iron girders for bridges, train lanes, they starts cracking, and then that infrastructure crumbles. Maybe it will withstand 1 2 winters, but there will be a huge cost of that happening. And
What about agriculture? Oh, sorry, in Alberta.
in Alberta, we do build our infrastructure to withstand these temperatures, but as soon as we keep going south, we will have a problem. Uh,
And what about agriculture?
Yeah, agriculture, like the trees may not be able to survive too. So your gardens may not be able to survive. Your gardens which go into hibernation, but they can only there some plants are designed to stay -15 or so, maybe -20 for, but not for a week long. Uh, then your after the 2 years ago we had a similar week long -25 -20. My rose plants died, and I
Mm.
looked at, there was a big rose garden just down the lane. That person's their rose garden also died totally. They had a huge big rose garden. So your gardens will take a huge toll. There is that's the toll is like gardens may not survive. So the perennial gardens, like which come back, may not be able to come back with this cold. That may there may that may be a big drawback here. It's like
And
if
what
you
and what's the possibility? Yes, the frequency will increase. Is increase? You don't know. You don't have the data if it's increasing or not. But what about the length of polar
yeah,
vortex?
yeah, that is the thing. If the jet stream is really getting weaker, so it has to gain strength to move north. That's what a winter jet stream is. That's what its natural place is. So for it to move strong, become strong. See, if it is that thick, it would be very strong. But at some places, when it becomes see on Pacific, it's diverging there. You see, and it's not as strong as in the mid Pacific. If you can see, if that becomes on continental USA, and for it to build the strength back and move back to north, it may take a lot of time. So we may experience longer winters and colder winters. So
So,
here in that
so
picture,
the
it
so
went
the
up to
term
Houston.
So the term, yeah, in the picture, it's all the way down to Houston. I
Mm,
remember when we were in Houston, it used to get really cold occasionally, but I don't know
mhm.
if it was polar vortex. But um, so basically, the term global warming is a misnomer
No,
because
it's climate change
climate
should
change,
be.
because global warming is really, yes, it is hurting the environment, but it's going to make it colder for us here in North America at
Yeah,
least.
the winters are going to get colder, and the summers are going to get warmer. If this persists because of the jet stream, if you change the patterns of your summers and winters are basically how the jet stream positions itself. And if jet stream is goes all haywire, you can't really predict your some seasons, and that's a big impact on agriculture. So there will be a huge issue. Like if the winters gets a really cold, there would usually problem with trees. And if the summers get too hot, there could be problems in the rains. See, there are many complications here.
And it impacts my mental health. Winters
Hmm.
get colder. I, I mean,
Yeah, there are so many. There is not one
positive.
repercussions. Yeah, there is one positive though. I kept on thinking about what's one positive. So if you remember when we were driving to Maline Lake in Jasper, there were on the sides of Medicine
Mhm.
Lake, there were trees all wiped out black. It like as if there was a fire went through them. It's not fire. It's called a pine beetle. It's a very dangerous pest which infects boreal forest. And what it does is it burrows into the pine trees and lays larvae in it. And the larvae, they survive by eating the pine, the sap in the pine, the one in the middle, which it keeps alive. So when it becomes summer, there is no life left, and these larvae grow, and then they come out, and then they go infest more trees. So these larvae can't survive less than -20 for 3 or 4 days. So if the longer -20 winters we have, these pine beetles will die.
Mhm.
And that's the big positive is our boreal forests, which are really essential for us, may benefit from these spells like these pine. So warmer winters are really bad for these beetles,
Yeah,
these trees.
yeah. I remember like when we go. to the mountains, you're always talking about the pine beetle and how
Mm,
you can tell that if we had a warmer winter or if we had a colder winter just by looking at the trees. If they're eaten
mm.
up by the pine beetle, then we know that the winter was warmer than usual. But yeah, we get those lessons every time we're in the mountains. We get a lot of lessons, and I don't remember most of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully Arohi does. Hopefully she remembers. I don't know.
Mm.
She asks very good questions too. She does. I mean, so I think there is that naturally inbuilt curiosity when we go out in the nature. I think that's the reason why we need to get out. We need
Mm.
to, go out to the mountains, go out and take advantage of what's out there where we live and learn about our environment and, contribute in some way that we don't add to the climate change that's occurring. So I will come back to, again, the home temperature. So that's another reason why I let you keep it at 20. I don't fight or I don't veto and use my voice to change that, is because if we keep it at a lower temperature, then we're not, the carbon footprint is lesser. So we're not really hurting the environment as much if we're keeping it at a lower temperature and
Mhm.
wearing a sweater. We're saving the world. The
That's
least we
it.
can do.
We
The
are
least
trying. We are trying our little bit.
little bit, our
Yeah.
little carbon footprint.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a sacrifice I make. I wear a sweater. I need like huge props for that, man. You need to like be proud of me. Come on.
I'm very proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this from the world.
You're welcome. And I am really cold right now. I'm like shivering right now underneath my sweater. Like it's so cold. I can't believe like down here. Fire is not helping. My
Ah, they
kiddos
love
are
science.
watching, so you have two. Oh, they love science. Hi, kiddos. I don't know if I can say their names, so I won't say their names. But hi, how are you
Yeah.
guys?
So yeah. So science is cool. Science is cool.
Yeah, our daughter doesn't watch Pavan.
She gets enough lessons, science lessons.
Yeah, at bedtime.
And like talking about this, Calgary is in a very interesting place geographically. So we only have two weather systems coming into Calgary, one from the west and one from the north. These are the only two systems we have. Very rarely any system comes from the south, and very rarely anything comes from the east. So Pacific and Arctic are the two oceans which govern our weather. So in either we get a Chinook. If we don't get a Chinook, we get a northern wind blowing through. So that's our winter. And in summer, it's just a convection, a big air raising up on the mountains and then cooling down and having a thunderstorm. So Calgary's weather is a very localized system. It's very unpredictable. It's dictated by the mountains. There is a mountains act as a funnel both from the north and from the west.
Do you want to talk about Chinook quickly? So, what is Chinook?
Chinook is just a big weather system. So that's exactly what I was saying. The Chinook is a big rainstorm or a big low pressure system coming from the west. And what it does is when it comes in from the west and hits the Rockies, it rises quite fast on the western slopes of Rockies. When it rises so fast, it dumps all its moisture on the western slopes of Rockies. But when it comes to the height, it is very dry. And
Mm.
then as it moves on to the top of the Rockies, it slides down really fast and goes through an adiabatic change, and it gains a lot of heat, and then it blows through the so there is a big funnel around in southern Rockies, which blows these huge winds blow through those funnels, those valleys. You can see these valleys blowing through. So, and when you see that's the Chinook arch is big, the big high pressure, low pressure boundary. So you can see that. So it's coming. The Chinook arch is because it's an arch because the mountains make an arch around Calgary. So this arch follows the mountains arch, and so the air blows through that, and then creates these funnels. Which that's why we get really hot air. So if a Chinook blows through, our temperature overnight will go up to plus 16. So from minus 30 to plus 16. So it has enough heat to take us to 56 degrees centigrade. So 50 degrees centigrade change overnight.
And where does it gather that heat?
That heat is come well that it has its energy because it's blowing from the Pacific, right? Pacific is very warm. We didn't talk about that. The Pacific is very warm because of the ocean current, a California current, which is uh, a current which is going to up to Alaska. It's a big vortex. Hot air from equator, hot water from equator goes up to Alaska and comes down onto the other side. It's called a big gyro. So the hot water from California is going up the Pacific coast, which is that's why the Pacific is so like that's why British Columbia is so warm compared to Alberta, because of the Rockies. Rockies are partitioning it into two different that's very temperate. We become subarctic. So as soon as you cross Golden and you go on if you start going down the Rogers Pass, you will see that the whole atmosphere changes. The whole climate changes. You see that it becomes more temperate, more greener, because
Even the
Arctic's.
fauna, even the flora, the
Mm,
flora changes. The way it looks, it changes
yeah.
almost suddenly.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so Anusha asked, why is it so dry here? It's just as I explained. So these big rain clouds come, and then they just dump all the moisture onto the western slopes. And then when they dump all the moisture, and then when they rise up, they become really dry, like dry air. There is no moisture in it. All the moisture. That's why we call rain. It's called the rain shadow region. The western slopes of Rockies are called rain shadow regions. We don't get most of the rain from Pacific. What we get is our own convection rain. We get the convection rain, and the cold air, when it comes from the north, it brings in the moisture. Is just the moisture. It condenses the moisture and it comes as snow. So we don't, if compared to it, we don't get so much snow as well. So Calgary is a very dry. It is not a very wet city because of we are in a rain shadow region of Rockies.
All right. Anyone else has any questions? Please do ask. They see Bill Nye, the science guy. I think we should coin a name for you.
No, I'm not
Gharki
really.
Murgi. Gharki
Yeah,
Murgi is your name.
that's good. Yeah, I'm just a
Awesome.
chicken.
All right.
I'm
So,
henpecked.
Gharki Murgi, you are the hen.
No, I'm pecked. Anyways.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I'm out of questions. Do you want to add anything else? Anyone else has any questions for Pavan? Anything about Alberta weather? Anything about cold, winter, summer, heat, climate change? I I think you
Yeah,
can.
one thing I have to add about climate change. So one of the universities, I forgot, they did up a threat map of climate change. So which of the regions in the world will be affected most, and which of the regions on the flip side won't be affected the most. So the big the southern Alberta is the most safest place, when if the climate change happens. So
But
the
it would
big.
be so cold
Yeah,
in
but
winter.
it's not affected. Yeah, so in winter it could be cold, but there are no trees in southern Alberta. Anyways, it's all prairie. So but we could have problems with our water. All the water comes from glaciers. So if there is a problem with water, but if we can figure a way out of getting water, southern Alberta is really quiet. We are in a very good place if there is a climate change happens really badly.
Well, go purchase properties around Lethbridge
Hmm.
and
Milk
uh,
River. Milk River.
Milk River. And please, this is not serious advice. Do not follow this advice. For
Oh,
this,
why hail in Calgary? Yeah, the reason I just said that because it's the mountains, and because the mountains let if the warm air comes up, and it's like it hits a barrier like mountains and raise up quite fast. When you raise up quite fast, it gets cold quite quickly, and that's and then there is a downdraft and updraft. That's why it's picking up moisture, and then there is not enough time for it to warm up. So as soon as it's getting quite cold, we are in northern climates anyways, and then that's why the water doesn't there is not enough chance for the ice to become water because it gets so energetic because of these big mountains. Mountains are the reason why we have hails.
But okay, so this is going to sound really not very smart, but we get hails in Northeast and we're closer to the mountains in Northwest. What's up with that?
I was about to say something, I stopped. I don't know the reason.
So no, really. So
no, I don't think there is anything there. It's just weather. It's just randomness. There is randomness there. The next hailstorm northwest would be impacted most likely. So it's just a chance of a draw.
really?
I don't think there is anything like that. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Zara says it's because she's in the Northeast. All right. And so for basically anything that happens in Calgary,
It's the
Rocky
mountains.
Mountains.
Yeah, it's the mountains. Yeah,
we're in the foothills of
Mhm.
Calgary.
Yeah, and mountains affect our weather every part of the season, every season. Winters they make it.
What is the coldest city, the major city in Canada? Is it Winnipeg?
No, Edmonton is the northernmost
The
city.
coldest. Edmonton's not.
Well, the coldest, Whitehorse. Whitehorse would be the coldest.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the major Canadian cities. So I think Winnipeg.
Or Edmonton too, could be. I'm not sure.
Winnipeg is in a wind tunnel. What is that wind tunnel?
I think the wind tunnel is just because it's just in the middle, so the weather systems from the Pacific and Atlantic meet there, and then they become a big vortex there. So so all the wind comes down and then goes down back there. That's where the Chicago. That's where the weather systems, the lakes.
That's my kid in the back. She's trying to get out. Did she lock her up?
The Great Lakes, and all the weather systems come to Winnipeg because it's in the middle of the continental North America, because the war made from the Atlantic and both the air systems from the two oceans come and meet around that part of the middle continent. So that's where it's like a wind tunnel.
Yeah, no, Winnipeg is really cold. I think personally, out of all the major cities in Canada, Winnipeg has to be the coldest for me. Like, that's what I think. Yes, I agree, Anusha. Manitoba is cold. It is really cold. All right. I enjoy Calgary because Calgary, we do get Chinook, so we do get a break from cold weather. But I also want to mention that Arohi was trying to get out the door behind you. We did not lock her in there. She has strict instructions to stay inside and talk to her friends or do what she needs to do, because we don't really want her on camera. And that's the only reason why she's hidden away. All right. So Zara says Eureka, Nunavut, where the temperature averages at minus 19.7 degrees Celsius or minus 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit for the year. However, the coldest temperature ever recorded in Canada was minus 63 degrees Celsius in Snag, Yukon. Zara, if you go to our Instagram at TCSAN2, you will see this fact that we uploaded this trivia question today. Also, thank you for Googling. Thank you. That was very resourceful. I like that. All right. We're going to go now because I am freezing here. And it was lovely having you on air again. And I don't think we have any more questions coming in. So it was lovely talking to you. And it was lovely talking to all the audience. And we will be coming back next Thursday with another topic with Pavan. But before that, I'll be back on Monday with Mull Over Mondays with a new topic. It's a Valentine's week. So we're going to be talking about big fat Indian wedding. We're going to be talking about to a couple about long-term, like their married relationship and how they've been married for like 40 years now. And we have a couple of things up our sleeve for next week. So stay tuned. Before you go, Pavan, I'm going to tell you that you can buy me, or you can win for me, a pair of earrings if you like this video.
I will like this video.
And this is how you do that.
Where?
I'm waiting. So that's how you get me a really cool pair of earrings. You like this video, and then you get entered into a draw to win a pair of earrings by Saj by G. Zara says we are awesome. Dutch stream. All right. When is the Urdu poetry? Do you have
I know what climate change in Urdu is. Mausami tablidiyat. That's my Urdu. Mausami tablidiyat. I think so.
Mausami tablidiyat.
Yeah.
गलत उर्दू बोली ना एक दिन नॉर्थ ईस्ट वालों ने आके ना जो हेल में उनके साथ हुआ है वो आपके साथ
तब्दीलियात या तब्दीलियात
not tablidiyat.
Tabdiliyat.
Sarah says thank you, you're very, very welcome, and now we're gonna go and eat and have a very good night, and we will be back. I will be back on Monday at 6 p.m. Please stay tuned. Please give us more likes and shares. Give us more encouragement to keep doing this. What are we doing, Pavan?
Khuda Hafiz.
Nay, what are we doing here on this? Encourage us to do more what?
Gyan baat rahe hain.
Gyan baat. More
Gyan baat.
Gyan. Free Gyan.
Gyan baat rahe hain.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good
night.
night.
Khuda Hafiz.